All right, the frenzy has begun. I didn't know if there was going to be a frenzy when we were about like 4 or 5 hours in and the Browns weren't making moves, but we've made moves all the way up until the start of this podcast. Let's talk offensive line. That was goal number one. Eric, let's go to you first here. What about this Browns offensive line transformation?
Yeah, I mean, the Zion Johnson pick is a typical Andrew Berry free agent signing, former first round pick, a lot of upside, but currently not playing up to their capabilities. They've done this historically with Devin Bush in 2024, Joe Tryon Shoyinka in 2025, and we have to go back to 2021 for Tack McKinley. I think the coaching staff and the front office knows that they need to rebuild the offensive line. They all can't do it at once, so they got to do this in pieces and parts. They got to pick up two or three guys. You got your Zion Johnson, your Tytus Howard, and your Elgton Jenkins. He's the third man. You got,
Nice.
hopefully all three can play immediately and well, but at least you got to have options as far as substituting in, and hopefully they draft that left tackle in the first round, and we can kind of start getting the backup for the replacements for some of these free agency pickups because prior to these guys we had nobody. So it's a transformation. Hopefully it's a future improvement down the road.
Well, we got somebody. Drew, what do you think about these guys we got?
Yeah, I was sort of intrigued at the scouting combine. Andrew Berry referenced the Chicago Bears about how they essentially rebuilt their entire offensive line in a matter of weeks last offseason. And I think that's what he's trying to do here. And I think he's actually succeeding so far. So I have to give him credit. My favorite was the Elgton Jenkins pickup. He's a two-time Pro Bowler. He was number 3 among interior offensive lines in terms of pass blocking grade since 2023. To get him for only 24 million over 2 years, I think he's going to play center in 2026 and 2027. I love that move, and I really like the Zion Johnson deal as well. He had the second best run block win rate amongst offensive guards this year, or in 2025, I should say. 3 years, just under 50 million. I think that's a great move. And I liked trading for Tytus Howard. I don't think he's quite as good of a player, but he is capable, which is a heck of a lot more than they had at that position last year.
Oh, we'll have some people back, but not too many. It has been a great start to free agency with all these offensive line pickups. Because they got to protect that quarterback. Who's that quarterback? Are we sure of who that quarterback is? Drew, it's Shedeur, right? Why are we messing around with all this?
Yes, we're sure. It's obviously Shedeur. There's no. I'm sure there's a pun there to be made, but the only thing we can look at is where the team is here on March 10th. Happy Mario Day to those that celebrate. There's no way you go into this and tell this fan base, here comes Captain salary cap restructure, Deshaun Watson himself. There will be a revolt. They will storm the gates, and by they I mean me and everybody else that wants to be just wash our hands of this god awful deal. I don't want to be negative towards a Browns player, but I will make an exception in the case of Captain Achilles himself. So you cannot go into this season saying Deshaun Watson is your starter. If you want to talk, about how it's an open competition so that you push Shedeur and you make him earn it, fine. But if they go in there week 1 and Deshaun is your starting quarterback, there will be a revolt.
Eric, is there any chance of that at all?
I hope not. I think I'm on board, and I think hopefully the front office is on board with Shedeur being QB1. Great with avoiding backups and taking somebody else's backup, trying to make them our starter. I don't know. That's never really worked in the past. Don't need to continue that trend now. If a team wants to trade away the Rey Mysterio Jr. size quarterback and Dylan Gabriel, I'm all for it. Hopefully they can get at least the 6th-round pick for one of the worst 3rd-round selections. But ultimately, it's going to be the two quarterbacks that we had just discussed. The $230 million man, guaranteed over a 4-year window, and obviously Shedeur Sanders with a clear 3rd string guy break glass if necessary as the other option. That hopefully puts the Browns in the best spot possible to find clarity on the quarterback situation. Either Shedeur's the guy and we're good to go, build around him in 2027 going forward, or Shedeur's not the guy. We have a terrible season. We have a top 5 pick, and it's a very loaded quarterback friendly draft in 2027. So, Deshaun Watson's not going to be on this team after this year, so there's really no point in playing him. Especially, I mean, I guess you could try to say maybe to drive up a trade value, but that's not really what we're here for. We want to see wins, we want to see victories, we want to see our young quarterback succeed in Shedeur Sanders.
Next week on the podcast, Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel. We can't wait to have them. Let's move on to the third quarter.
Not friends of the program.
No.
Browns won free agency, right? Can we just declare it? Has anyone else made big moves? We just saw the Ravens losing Max Crosby, going back on that trade. Raiders looking pretty good, but Browns have won free agency. I think we can declare that right now, right? Eric, let's go back to you.
Well, I would say the negatives are they didn't get a franchise quarterback. They didn't get a top tier wide receiver or elite playmakers for this team. The positives are most of those type of players are not available in free agency as they are likely locked up by their own team. Alec Pierce got a 4-year, $116 million, $29.5 million per year deal. Nowhere near JSN or Puka Nacua. Tyler Linderbaum got a 3-year, $81 million deal, $27 million for a center. Likely the best center, maybe the best center in the league, definitely the best center on the market. But with the Browns' deficiencies elsewhere and dead cap hits galore, that doesn't make financial sense for the Browns. I did like the Quincy Williams signing. He's ranked, slightly above average in linebackers, in tackles, and 4th in sacks and PFF grades. I think he can hopefully pick up right where Devin Bush left off. He does have an all-pro to his resume, something Devin Bush did not have. Would have liked Elijah Vera Tucker, but we can't always get everything what we wanted. So I would say the Browns won by not spending foolishly. They do know they did plug some holes, but they do have some room to grow in the draft. So I would say like a 9-8 win, 9-8 season. Hopefully sneak in as a wild card.
Oh boy, Drew. Anyone else catch your eye across the NFL?
Certainly the Raiders, they had a mountain of salary cap space, and then they went off and spent it all. And to their credit, right? Like they planned to go nuts in free agency this year. They did, and part of that was to trade Max Crosby for 2 first-round picks, only to have the franchise that pulls this crap more than any other. Hello, Ryan Grant. I once had a curse of Ryan Grant on this franchise that is still active, by the way. But they you could argue, and I don't love to give this organization credit. I struggle to even mention their name, but they did add a wide receiver, Michael Pittman, who is, I think, a really good player that I would have loved for the Browns to have acquired at a fairly, relatively speaking, Alec Pierce got a huge deal that Eric had mentioned and referenced already. The wide receiver market was crazy. I would have liked to have seen something, but I understand not splashing into that pond just yet.
All right, let's move on to the fourth quarter. Last day here 2 days into free agency. Last picks here. There's plenty of the long tail of free agency that's left to go here. But Drew, let's go to you. What is left for free agency goals? We've done a great job with the offensive line. What do you think is left?
I mean, certainly there's still glaring holes at left tackle and wide receiver. There's probably some guys you can go get at wide receiver, but there's nobody that's going to solve the actual problem that you have at wide receiver, which is like a wide receiver 1 that can stretch the field. Now, those guys don't exactly grow on trees. And so I get not addressing that in free agency, but if you can make that happen via the draft, for example, you could go sign 1 additional wide receiver in free agency this year, and all of a sudden the room isn't quite as bad as it is now. As for left tackle, I don't think there's anybody that you can go get in free agency that I would feel comfortable starting there. Maybe Rashawn Slater from the Packers, but my preference is to address left tackle with the number 6 overall pick in the draft. The guy that I think they should pick is Monroe Freeling from Georgia.
Very nice. Eric, what's left?
Yeah, I mean, with the free agency technically starting at 4 p.m., the window actually when you can announce moves, I expect to see a wave starting to happen. That being said, I would like to see the Browns stick with that wide receiver position and make a trade. They need a guy who can compete with Jerry Jeudy as a number 2 wide receiver while they draft a guy, possibly a Carnell Tate at number 6 or a Denzel Boston at number 24. And have him be the number 1 option. There's been rumors linking the Browns to Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brian Thomas. Again, both of those guys are falling into that same category I mentioned earlier with the first-round selection, highly talented, not living up to expectations. Harrison has been averaging 700 yards and 6 touchdowns in his first 2 years. Not really touching the potential the Cardinals had hoped he was. Thomas has been averaging 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns per year. He had an excellent first year, over 1,200 yards, but has kind of regressed under Liam Cohen. You see the regime change. You see maybe they want to find their own guys, draft their own receivers. So if maybe they can get away with a third would be probably too cheap, maybe a second. I could see that and still double dip and get another receiver to take the receiver group from one of the worst in the league to hopefully one of the top half at least, if not top 10. But the Browns need players who can score the football, move the team down the field. Unfortunately, they'd have to give up an asset, but if it means that we can get a high caliber receiver to pair with this group, then I am all on board. So that's pretty much what I would do.
All right, let's go to sudden death here. We're tied up
before. It's a first, everybody.
At 58. How the heck did that happen? All right, let's talk receiver. What's the most probable option? Like, what do we make one of those trades? Is it one of those receivers? Like, if you're putting odds on this, who is going to be opposite Jerry Jeudy to start this year? How about Drew? Let's go to you first.
All right, team. I have one in the bank here for you. I was at the Cleveland Charge game on Sunday, and I was right next to none other than Browns GM Andrew Berry at the end of the game. My kids were shooting free throws on the court right next to his kids, and I had to ask him, "Hey, Andrew, any chance we go get Tyson's brother?" He looked at me and he laughed, and then he quickly went away. He was having none of me, so I'm not sure I can qualify him as a fan of the podcast. I think the most likely option is we draft Jordan Tyson based on my conversation with Andrew Berry.
Eric, I'm sorry, but this was sudden death over time, and I did not mean to feed into Drew's story, which we knew about. Drew, you won.
Hey.
What is the headline at the end of free agency for these Browns?
Well, my headline is based on what they've done so far, and it's Leroy Jenkins. Browns go all out to fix the O-line this offseason.
Very nice. Go Browns. Let's
go Browns.
Keep
go
the
Browns.
hits coming.